All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've been waiting for this one for a while. And we've gotten a chance to know him quite a bit over the past several months on Sportswire Radio, and he's got a lot to say. And we were promoting a match that he was supposed to be in, and we'll tell us why that match didn't happen and much, much more. But he is the gentleman thug. And look at this man, ladies and gentlemen. He is definitely a thug, but he is a gentleman, but he is the gentleman thug. And look at those brass knuckles right there. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Going
That's
into
right.
Geniuses of the Ring, he is going to be a huge part of things here in CCW. I'm looking forward to getting his story here. So, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one level sports show, pro wrestling star here from CC Dub. That is Ronnie Thatcher. My friend, how are you?
I'm a bit peed off with what happened at Lampman Lockdown, obviously. Supposed to be a big match, but that didn't happen.
Well, we're going to get into that here.
That's
right. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that because this was a match that a lot of people were really looking forward to and really excited about. And in fact, we spoke about it a couple different times here on Sportswire Radio. And that match that you were going to have, the gentleman thug Ronnie Thatcher was with Slugger Hampton, one half of the CCW Tag Team Champions, the Working Class Militia from Top Tier. So I got to ask you then, for our audience listening and watching this on Sportswire Radio, I mean, what happened?
I went to the ring, ready for the fight. All of a sudden, this eerie, creepy music came on. Even Taylor didn't know. Obviously, he's our ring announcer. He was just about to shout out for Slack. He didn't have a clue himself. We turn around at the curtains. Obviously, our entrance. This creepy little burnt teddy I've seen on some videos and all that. And I'm like, not this again. What's going on? Then lo and behold, I didn't recognise her at first. I've never seen her like this. Little girl comes through, face paint, well, on makeup, that's the one. But one side of her face was all smeared. Then when she got close at the ring, I noticed it was my daughter. Yeah, my daughter's been going in the woods a few times. There was an eerie video out a while of Nate giving her this teddy. I've been hunting these woods for ages, couldn't find him. She went around one side of the ring. Obviously a distraction to me. I get whacked in the back, but it wasn't with a fist or anything like that. It was with a belt. Now, I didn't have a clue. It was Nate Sawyer. Yeah, we've battered each other before. It got separated last time, but this time there was no separation, anything. We battered each other. My daughter distracted me again, shouting, "Dad!" I thought, I've got to her. I turned around, get this blood, or I don't know what it was. It was pure red in my eyes. My right eye still isn't good.
I see. It looks like another eye there.
Yeah, it is. And
I'm surprised you can even see through that eye.
I am struggling. It's a little bit blurry, but I'm getting my vision back a bit. But then I passed out. I don't know. He must have choked me out or something. Now, I got told later on that my boys came in the ring trying to help me because I got battered in the head. I couldn't hardly hear, couldn't see. I got told afterwards it was my boys, Tommy and Walker of Wall Street, obviously Diamond Exchange, trying to help me. I was swinging for them. I didn't know who it was. And then I got told I was swinging for the boss himself, Mr. McGregor, because I couldn't see anything. So if they're watching, these things happen. I'm a thug. I'm a fighter. I'm going to go swinging. I'm not going to go down easy.
You are a thug, I'll tell you that much.
Exactly. So, and then I got told later on that it was Slugger's belt he hit me with, the tag team belt. So it's got me thinking, where the hell is Slugger?
I was going to say, so how would Slugger's belt have hit you, but you're saying Slugger wasn't there?
Well,
I'm
at the end of the exactly at the end of the night, if you've seen it, I barely saw it, just a bit. The boss himself of CCW, the CEO James Barris.
Yep, Mr. Barris, yep.
Yeah, he was carrying that belt, and he said something about how the hell did Nate get it. So we are looking into what's happened. I know Slugger's talked a little bit now, but we still need to hear what's happened from his side. So not only has Nate Sawyer destroyed a great match that was going to happen, but also did he help us? Because it was Slugger's career on the line.
Right. This was a match that, listen, there was a lot on the line here. We spoke about this match with Slugger himself, and this was the match I think a lot of people, even outside of CCW, were looking to because of Slugger's run outside of CCW. We've seen him in Nonstop Action Wrestling. We've seen him in GT Ministry. So this was a match that a lot of people were really, really excited about, the Gentleman Thug, Ronnie Thatcher, and myself included, on Sportswire Radio.
Yeah, there you go. So he's ruined a potential match, but also he's saved Slugger's career. And I'm not going to take it from Slugger. If he'd beaten me, I would have been out of the Carnage Hardcore title belt, which is the PSAT tournament in September.
Yep.
But I said, if Slugger was to pin me, I will leave CCW because I've dedicated myself for that tournament, for my brother.
Well, there's a lot to get into here with that, and I have some comments, so let me get to some comments because I'm behind here.
No problem.
First, we have Jam Dog here. He certainly says, good evening, gentlemen. We have somebody that you might know very well. Good evening. I think we'll get into that at some point later on, get a few thoughts on that. We have Prince Dagan, who I know you know, and he kind of gives you the, I guess, the devil emoji. I guess that might be. Uncle Ralph from Top Tier is tuned in as always. Love Uncle Ralph, although you might have some different thoughts on that. And then we have on here the reigning, the new, defending CCW Underground World Heavyweight Champion, Jack Bartley, who we are going to bring back on at some point next week. We would have brought him on this week, but we've had some scheduling difficulties here on Sportswire Radio because we all have different things that go on. And he says here, good evening, gentlemen. And he says, Nate freed you both from the stipulation. That's a good point, and I want to come back to that because I know, obviously, we were all looking forward to the match, myself included, but this was a match, almost reminds me of when I was taking law in college, and the term double jeopardy that comes to mind in a sense where you had something that could happen that you wouldn't want. Slugger had something that could happen that he wouldn't want. I mean, so in a sense, I mean, maybe Jack Bartley, the reigning defending CCW Underground World Heavyweight Champion, makes a good point in the fact that, you know what, maybe this was actually for the better.
In a sense, yes, Jack, boy. I know what you mean. We were both freed of the stipulations. Now, what people don't realise as well, I gave myself another stipulation of leaving if he pinned me, but Slugger also had another stipulation. If he lost, he'd be at CCW, but so would his brother, DB, would have been stripped of the title as well. So we both had a lot on the line. Did Nate save us from that? Yes, but he also took a great match away from the fact that I'm not bothered.
Oh, listen, we were sold out in 3 hours and 34 minutes. I mean, a lot of people paid to see this match, no question. But unfortunately, we didn't get to see it. That's why I go back to the point before I get to some of your brethren in the elite that maybe this was for the better because there was so much on the line. September the 10th is not that far away. You would have been out of that tournament. Then Slugger could have potentially been no longer in CCW and the tag titles would have been stripped. I mean, those are big ramifications. I mean, you think about this, the gentleman thug Ronnie Thatcher, for a second. Take a step back. When it comes to professional wrestling, I don't care what companies, because we pretty much talk all over. This was one of the more intriguing, almost like double jeopardy stipulations I've ever seen and ever covered. I got to be honest.
That's right. We never got to do the match. You know what I mean? I don't back down from no one. I never.
I know you. I know that. I know.
But so does Slugger, and I do respect the guy. But he was the one that called me out. He was the one that wanted this match. He said he wanted the top dog of CCW. And I respect that. He thinks that I'm the top dog. But he shouldn't think. He knows. Because I am the top dog of CCW. So, when this match came, and Barris done them stipulations, he not only lit a fire under Slugger's backside. I am doing my best to not swear because I know how bad mouth I am. So, out of respect for you, Rev, Tom Bryce, I won't swear. So there you go.
I appreciate that because I had on a wrestler last night before I get to Walker Wall Street, and we were doing backyard wrestling coverage, and they're actually real wrestlers who wrestle in the backyards, and all he kept doing was swearing, and I was like, I had to turn the radio off, and I couldn't say anything, unfortunately. So sometimes things do happen here. So I appreciate the kind words, and it's why you are a gentleman. But Walker Wall Street has a couple things for you. So let's get to Walker because I think it's important. He says, now, Ronnie Thatcher, we need to talk, and it best be before the next show at the Genius Tournament. He also goes on, you pushed me and Tommy Diamond away after offering help. And like you've always said, you are either with Elite or against us. Would you like to respond to what Mr. Wall Street has to say towards you?
Now, Walker of Wall Street needs to understand he's still a kid. He's still a pup in this game. He's still learning. And the worst thing to do is set your lip up against me. Now, he's got to realise, I'm Mr. McGregor's right-hand man. Now, him and Tommy, yes, they did come out. I didn't hear him. I didn't know who it was. They want to run their mouths, being clever, as always. They've got to realise they'll get a slap from me. End of discussion. But they are my brothers. They came to help. I didn't know it was them, and I've already apologised for that. I know when I'm in the wrong. I do. And there you go. So, Walker, I've already apologised twice now, actually. If you're not going to take it, come and be a man and step up to me.
All right, so we have some more comments in here. Let me get to a good one here. With the Elite forever always be the elf queen of the Elite.
That's right. Now, Elf is obviously Carnage's wife. Carnage sadly passed away, actually. There you go.
Let me ask you a question on that, because I know that this came up. I believe we had Dustin Hart a couple weeks ago, and we've talked with Mr. Barris about this in the past, and obviously a lot of the locker room we've gotten to know here on Sportswire Radio. And don't tear up on us too much here when I ask you this question, but what did he mean to you personally and the rest of the locker room here?
Now, personally, myself, he did mean the world to me. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, look, you only knew him, what, a year? But from day one of meeting him, he embraced me. He gave me the biggest cuddle. Nearly broke my back because he's big man.
I
He
could
was.
see that. I could
Yeah,
see that. He's a big man.
yeah. Like I said, on one of them pictures, I've got my head near his muscle. His muscles near the size of my head. My head isn't tiny.
I'm sure his calves were bigger than like people's heads, literally.
Oh, 100%. So yeah, he meant the world to me. Like, we trained together every Sunday. I'd pick him up for training. We train hard together. We talk constantly. He'd always bend my ear. He was always a shoulder for me, and I was a shoulder for him. And like I said, he embraced me. He was the one that actually gave me my nickname, the Gentleman Thug. That's never going to go.
And apologize for continuing to call you the gentleman a couple different times last night. I believe for whatever you did make a point that, which I believe was accurate, in the fact that I believe that was Mr. Slugger who kept calling you the gentleman, and I just kept going with it.
Yeah. So obviously, Slugger thinks he's clever, and he's just told you, oh, it's gentleman. There's nothing that. There's a reason why Sean, Mr. Carnage, gave me the Gentleman Thug. He's seen what I've done with all the undergrounders. He's seen what I can do in the ring and in training. And he said straight away, the way you dress, the way you hold yourself up, the way you even punch somebody, it's thuggish. You are the Gentleman Thug. And I was like, I love it, bro. So there you go.
Well, we certainly want to continue to always remember him, all the things that he meant, and a guy that really, again, when we saw the awards dinner that the company had maybe about two or so months ago now, we kind of saw just his memory and what he meant to the locker room. And certainly Prince Dagan also gives us that emoji, but also want to make sure that we get the world champion Jack Bartley in the house. He says, in the cruelty short time, we all knew him. He was a brother to us all. I have peace out tattooed on my arm in his honor. And that's pretty strong when you think about that, when somebody has a tattoo remembering someone. I mean, that's really a big deal. And I think that speaks volumes to, even though some of you only knew him a short time, just the role that he played in so many people's lives. And I think that that's something that we'll remember most. And you always think about people, and there are so many people we cross paths with in life, and some people, maybe not so much remember. But with Sean, definitely wasn't the case at all. He was definitely somebody that meant a lot to the family-like atmosphere in CCW. And his bicep was bigger than my waist. He will always be your brother, always the elite. Yeah, I'm sure that would be the case for most people. But let's though take it back on a more wrestling note, because we could go on all day about this, but I want to make sure we get
definitely
CCW covered, because I got Walker Wall Street's got something to say to you. So let's come back to that. And if I take a slap to slap you back and make you realize I may be young, but I have a whole lot more to give, regardless in the elite or not, we have gained nothing from being in the elite. But we have the elites back when they've had our back. Would you like to respond to that there?
Gained nothing from being in the elite. Nobody would have even known who you were if you weren't in the elite. Tommy took you under his wing when he came in the elite. When Mr. McGregor told me to recruit him and Gemma Stone into the elite, I did so. And Tommy seen something under Walker. He had a few little words to say to me. I said, look, if you're going to take him under your wing, if he is an arrogant little, he'll get a slap. Now, he is a tall lad. He is. He's a good lad. But now, because he's in the elite, he's getting too big for his own good. And he doesn't realise. I'll put him down if I have to. There you go.
Well, it looks like is there some concern here right now in the elite? I mean, I see what Walker Wall Street said. I've seen what you've said. I mean, we're marching on to a show coming up here in a couple of weeks. Geniuses of the Ring. I mean, is there concern right now in the elite? I mean, you've went through a lot, though. I do want to say that you have
Yeah.
gone through a lot because we were expecting a match here with you and Slugger. We were expecting a lot on the line here, and it didn't pan out, obviously, for reasons you just pointed out for us. But I mean, is there concern right now in the elite?
No concern from me, because I tell you, I've told them all before, if I go in a match, I don't need nobody. I've always been like that, but I've always got my brother's backs. I've said that from day one with them, coming into the elite and all that. He wants to be an arrogant little git, that's okay, but you don't bite the hand that feeds you. And he seems to do that a lot with me. Tommy did it one time, but that was a little bit of a trick we played on the fans. Me and
So
Tommy
you're
are
saying
brothers.
that was all in the cards then?
That was, but obviously he got a bee in his bonnet because I swung for him at the last show. That man looked at. I didn't see who they were. I didn't know who it was. They should understand that. They know the business. I was blinded. I couldn't see. Get on with it.
I mean, it was certainly something that nobody anticipated. I mean, I cannot stress this enough here on Sportswire Radio. Nobody foresaw what happened to you at Lampman Lockdown on Friday.
No.
Nobody saw what was coming. We all thought, listen, I think Slugger was on one of our streams, 2 days prior, 3 days prior? And it was
3
all
days.
about you. Yeah, 3 days prior. We had no idea. I mean, all of a sudden, I mean, we were speaking after the card, and you tell me, and I said, hey, how you doing? How's the match? How'd it go? And all of a sudden you say what happened just here. I mean, I'm still taken aback. I mean, so it could be maybe foreseeable to give you a pass because you know what? Nobody saw this coming, and this was such a stressful moment for you. You were definitely in a moment that, listen, maybe people make a judgment lapse.
That's right, yeah. Nobody's seen what was happening. Nobody. We all got a shock, especially me, because it was my daughter that came out first. Now, she turned her back one time. She joined the Undergrounders with Dustin. She was the one that actually helped him get the belt. She actually hit me with Big Ben. She stole Big Ben away, and at the end of it, she clocked me one.
And Big Ben looks like it would hurt. Big Ben that's why you have Big Ben.
Oh, yes. Oh, Big Ben does hurt. Oh, definitely. But was I upset? Yeah, I was upset I lost my belt. But was I upset about my daughter? No. I was proud. Do you know why?
Why?
Because she hit me and I seen the spark in her eye, a Thatcher spark. I seen her, and she actually came back to me. Dustin done the right thing. He said, look, family's family. You need to go. We sorted out our differences. I never done her head in anymore saying, look, stay blue, stay true. Because the elite, we're blue. We are, as you know. So this time, I didn't pressure her, didn't do nothing. But as weeks gone by, she was slowly talking to herself, going in the woods, and now this. So twice my daughter, I know everybody out there, whoever has kids, right? Yeah, sometimes your kids don't listen to you. They don't
I
want
don't
to know.
listen to people, period. Listen, I don't listen to people, period.
Exactly. So there you go. But for her, she doesn't just not listen to me. She turns her back on me. This time, I honestly don't know why. The last time is because she was fed up with me. Stay blue, stay true. She was fed up. She hated what I used to do with all the undergrounders, back to the cars and all that. She hated that side of me. I'm not going to change the way I am, but I listen to her. She's my daughter still. I love her. But now I don't know what's going into her head. I honestly don't. I don't even know what that creepy music was. If anybody who's watching this, if you were at the show, tell us what that music was or whatever. I've never heard it before. I've never even heard her listen to stuff like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is something that a lot of people still want to get to the bottom of, and I do have a bunch of comments in here, so let me get to them first. I have Dustin Hart, who was with us most recently. He says, good evening. We had him on 2 weeks ago in this spot, so I want to make sure we give a huge shout-out to Dustin Hart. Also have here Mr. Graham Guest, who says, hi, I'm sorry I'm late. And he also says to calm down to Walker Wall Street. Ronnie turned up, simple as that. Let's come to Mr. Wall Street. And he says, just know, Ronnie Thatcher, we have your back. And if you have ours, that's fine. We know you're after that hardcore title. And we know that you can do what you can do. And you always walk your own path. But if anyone steps in the way of that, just that you know, you will never be alone. And he says he's calm. And I do want to follow up to that. Also, Colin McGregor is with us. He says, good evening. Shout out as always to Colin. Obviously want to recognize Colin. But I do want to ask you, because he made a good point in that the hardcore title is something you are after him. May I ask you, what does that title mean to you?
It means the world to me. It means everything. Like I said, I was willing to put my job on the line as well. I put everything on the line because it means everything. And like I said, I've been told now I'm in the tournament. That's right. Actually, I'm going to say this now, Tom Bryce. Why Walker and them are watching and listening, and Mr. McGregor. This next show, the genius of the ring. You've got the elite lads, Tommy and Walker, and me. Because I'm focusing so much on September 10th, I'll watch your back, lads, but I won't get in the way. There you go. I'll even sit commentary if I have to with Mr. McGregor. I won't get in your way, lads. You go for it. You deserve this.
Are you saying here, for those that are watching and listening to this on Sportswire Radio, the gentleman thug, Ronnie Thatcher, August the 27th, when the Elite are in action, you're going to have their back, but you're not going to be doing anything? Is that what I just heard?
Correct. I'll have their backs, but they don't have to worry about me being in the tournament. There you go. Boys, I know you can do it. I know this is going to upset a few people, Mr. McGregor and all that, but I know you boys have got this. But just remember, I got your back.
Well, that might be the most important back to have right there when it comes to Big Ben. And I do have a comment from Mr. McGregor, and he says, Elite forever, Carnage forever, and we got each other's back. I guess that means it could be an Elite announce table at the booth, maybe August the 27th with yourself and Mr. McGregor alongside Mr. John Rowlandson. Is that what I'm possibly hearing? Maybe is a possibility?
There could be, actually, yeah. Actually, yeah, I'll sit beside them boys. Let them do their little jobs. And if I've got a pipe in, I'll say a few words on commentary. No problem.
I think you could say a few words. You seem like you could probably do pretty well on the mic. There's no question about that. And Mr. McGregor says three-way on commentary. Yeah, sometimes you get wrestlers on or anybody else that comes on, and you're not so sure how they be with words in the mic. But I have no doubt if that's the case. Obviously, we're still a few weeks away from Genius of the Ring, and we'll find out what the Elite will do as well as everybody else, whether it's the CWO and Top Tier.
I am a man of my word. I've said what I'm going to do. I'll be there at the show, but just to have their backs.
And I think you'll also be a man of many words as well. A man of many words coming up here.
I am, because he's another one. Nate Sawyer. I'm going to come looking for you tomorrow. You better be ready for me.
Did you just say, wait. Did you just say, before I get to more comments, did you just say that tomorrow you're going to be looking for Nate Sawyer? Is that correct?
Yes, because the woods I've been looking in, there was no streams or anything. Now, the video my daughter was in, I watched that closely. I heard a stream. So, and somebody, I'm not going to say who, may have put me in the right direction of the woods that I need to be at. So there you go.
Okay, well, certainly we are finding out a lot more by the minute here on Sportswire Radio with the gentleman thug, Ronnie Thatcher, of course, of the elite here in CCW Colory Championship Wrestling. And if you like what you hear from Colory Championship Wrestling, please join the Facebook page, over 4,000 members strong. And you can see CCW shows like Colin McGregor's show, the First Amendment show. We've got, obviously, CWO content. We've got Prince Dagan content, you name it, we've got it here. Mr. Barris comes on whenever he feels like it. So you've pretty much got everybody, anything you want for CCW coverage. And Jam Dog says, I understand how wrestling can turn nasty between those involved. However, you never bring a man's family into wrestling issues. That Nate Sawyer needs a good smack. So I think Jam Dog agrees with you.
Well, unfortunately for Jam Dog, he was one of the participants that tried separating us, and he got a smack off Nate for his troubles. Now me, I tried getting back in the ring. I had a few. I had Baldwin, I had Ulfric, I had Uncle Ralph.
Baldwin, yep.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what's going on about that now, because just before this show, our good friend Jack Bartley done a live Shackle Crew, or Laughter with the Shackles Crew, whatever he called it. I can't remember. Sorry, Jackie. Right. But he then announced that Baldwin was Bonkers Baldwin. Now, I don't know what's going on. I thought he was still elite, but we don't know what's happening. I know he was upset with Tommy and Walker of Wall Street, but has he left? I did try talking to him. I gave him a little slap because he wasn't listening to me. He may have gone bonkers. Has he joined the Shackle Crew? I don't know what's going on with him. I have no idea with that lad.
Well, we're going to find out here. And again, if you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, I highly encourage that you give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. We will be live here once again tomorrow evening. We will be speaking with pro wrestling stars Killjoy, who seems to have a fix-in for Gareth Angel of GTM and GT Ministries. He certainly has called him Gareth Liar, and we'll see if that may be the case tomorrow night. And also, we'll be followed right after that with the man they call Young Horace, who was putting his mask on the line. So he had a stipulation last week at UKW at WrestleBration 13, and he got the job done. He won his first match, so we'll get his story on that as well right after that. But let me get to some more comments, because there's a lot of people that want to talk to the gentleman thug Ronnie Thatcher, and I can see why. Ronnie is going to have the hardcore title, believe me. I could definitely see with Big Ben on those arms of his, and right next to him, I think he's got a very, very, very good shot at that here. And I have here Casey Jack Bradley. It'll be a pleasure to meet new wrestlers on my journey to being a wrestler myself. Thank you very much for tuning in. No mega pints on the commentary desk.
He got a bit upset, and it was my fault. I always bring a brew dog to my entrance for my brother. I drank some. I left the can at the desk. When me and Nate were fighting outside, I actually got hold of the can. I smashed it off his head. It did nothing. It did nothing to lad. And he actually low blowed me. He smashed it off my head. There was still some beer in. Bad of me, because I don't usually leave beer. And it went everywhere and it nearly went all over the computer and all that. So,
well, that's not a good thing. That's not good.
exactly. So, my bad about that, boss, but he caught me off guard. I saw the can. It happens when you're fighting.
Well, I can appreciate. Listen, I can appreciate Colin's points on that, or anybody else that is working on the computer, because one of the things they always say: don't damage the computer, because that's the lifeline for most people, myself included here. But let me come back to your brethren in the elite, that is Mr. Walker Wall Street, and he says, so this is the first I've heard me and Tommy Diamond are in the Genius tournament. There is no tags. Does that mean we are solo? Now, what happens if me and Tommy are in the final and refuse to fight? Well, we may just have to be both Genius.
Listen here, Walker, right? I don't know who's in it. I was assuming the boss was going to put all of the elite in, because obviously he's a genius. If you and Tommy are in it, you do what you've got to do. I just said, I'm leaving it to yous. So, if Mr. McGregor wants to put you boys in there, but both of yous, so be it. If you both go to the final and you just want to do that, you've brought the genius of the ring to the elite. There you go. Think about it. That's why Mr. McGregor is in charge. That's why he is the genius. All I said, right, was I don't want to be in it. I'm leaving it to yous, lads. Whether Mr. McGregor puts you both in or just one of yous in, that's up to him. I'm taking a back seat, but I've got your back. There you go. I don't know who's in this Genius of the Ring tournament. I don't have a clue about all that. Bossman knows a bit more, because he talks to the board of directors all the time. There you go. That's all I'm saying, Walker. There you go, mate.
So, can I ask the question that's obviously going to be the follow-up, at least from our vantage point, and many in the CCW fan base and in the locker room? You don't have a preference, then, who comes out of that tournament, then, when it comes to the elite? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't have a preference. As long as it comes back with one of my boys, if they're both in it, you do what you got to do. It's Genius of the Ring.
And do you think that Tommy Diamond and Walker Wall Street will both be in the tournament?
If they are, boys, do what you got to do. Win, bring it back to the elite, however way. If it's just one of you, just remember, Mr. McGregor knows what he's doing. Mr. McGregor is the genius of CCW. This was based on him. Come on, think about it, boys. If you're both in it, you've got a better chance of bringing it to the elite.
So I almost have to ask then another question in a part of this here, and I'll get to some more comments in a second. But is it possible that, let's say that we get to the finals of the tournament, and let's just say that Walker and Tommy are in the finals? Is it possible that they can actually refuse to fight? Because I'm trying to think of an instance in wrestling where you have that instance where both wrestlers say, you know what, we're just not fighting because we're brothers, we love each other, we're on the same side, and we just don't want to do it. I mean, I've seen things. I've seen finger poke of doom. I've seen people just lay down, but those were different situations. But I have to ask you, and maybe Mr. McGregor can help me or somebody else, is it possible if, let's say, Walker Wall Street and Tommy Diamond actually were to fight, that they can refuse to fight each other? Is that possible?
Well, I'm not going to comment how Mr. McGregor would, but if it was me, everybody know I'm a thug. I'm going to fight.
You do look like a thug, by the way. You do look like one.
There you go. I want to show who was best in the ring at the time. Look, if me and God rest his soul, Carnage was here, if me and him had to go to blows, we'd do it. And at the end of the match, whoever won, no matter what, get up, shake each other's hand and have a pint. The good old-fashioned way. So if these two are in the final, I would like them to fight. I would like them to go one-on-one to see who's the better. show each other respect afterwards. There you go. To me, I don't like this whole finger poke at them. I'll lay down and let you win. That's not a fight to me. That's not a way of winning. That is, I nearly said the word, a coward's way out.
And I agree with you, because we were on a stream with a wrestler last night, and he was talking about his relationship with the wrestler that he's mentoring, and he's up and coming in the business. And this was a company we do work with called Wrestling Championship Entertainment. And they had said, well, one of the wrestlers that we had on said, well, you want to prove that you can beat the person you're close with and working with. You want to show almost who's the alpha dog and who's the alpha male. So I would actually kind of think in some ways that you would want to show something, because, I think it makes the Elite even stronger, knowing through the fact that there's a possibility that Walker and Tommy could go to war. And yes, somebody's going to come in on top, but I think it's going to show also the strengths and weaknesses of what we have. And I think on top of it, I think it's going to show that the Elite are going to come through the other side of it stronger and more on point than ever. So I would actually think if this scenario happens, now we don't know. We don't know if that's going to happen. We'll obviously find out starting here in the coming weeks on Sportswire Radio and, of course, all the CCW pages. But I would think at the end of the day, look, if I'm in a match, I got to go out there. Listen, Nonstop Action Wrestling, next week they have their tournament, and Tommy Dillon's fighting his tag team partner, LRB. And we asked them that question. They said, you know what? We'll just go out there and do what we always do, and that's fight. And I would kind of think if Walker and Tommy are in that same position, I think that they would have to do the same thing, and that's fight.
Yeah, good on them. You look at any tag teams around and all that, right? I'll go with the bigger names because some people won't know around here, right? LOD, if they had to fight each other, they kick the living hell out of each other. The Hardy Boys have done it. Look, you're in that ring to prove that you're the best. So go up against the best, the person who knows you best, your tag team partner. There you
go. Absolutely. Let me get to a bunch of comments because I'm behind here. Don't forget Jack Bartley, Chuckle Crew, and then Bonkers Baldwin from our champion. Thatcher here is just put in the word Thatcher, so that's just the word Thatcher. I don't know what's tied to that, but just Thatcher. Chuckles with the champ, it was called from, the champ, Jack Bartley, because, he's the champ. Walker says, I respect that. Either way, we will cause mayhem. And Jack Bartley says, as champ, I don't think I'm eligible to enter. Yeah, because you're the champ. You're the champion of the Underground World Heavyweight Champion. And Colin also reminds us that no one will refuse to fight. We only need one genius. And Jam Dog also says, if those boys don't fight, then Ronnie should definitely give them both a slap. Yeah, I think we've got the point. I think the point is that Walker and Tommy, if they're put into this position, they're going to fight. Because at the end of the day, I would still think as a wrestler, you want to prove what you could do. You want to prove what you could do out there. And I think at the end of the day, it makes the group stronger. Listen, if Slugger and DB were in that same position, they're fighting. You think that they're not going to fight? They're going to fight. Those guys, they're going to fight. I mean, you think that if
100%.
Rockstar Rob Bagwell and Dustin Hart were in that same position that they weren't going to fight? Those guys, they're veterans. They would absolutely fight. So at the end of the day, they're going to fight. And if it happens, so be it. We'll see what happens. But I want to ask you a question on Walker Wall Street and Tommy Diamond, because I got a chance to see them in the ring. And I want to formally ask your opinion on it, because they were a part of GT Ministries' last show last month at the Fountains Church in Bradford. I know that I asked some different people from the company. I asked Dustin Hart his thoughts on it. Jack Bartley, I asked his thoughts on it. But as somebody that's obviously in the group with them here in CCW, I wanted to ask you, the gentleman thug Ronnie Thatcher, what did it mean to you to see Walker Wall Street and Tommy Diamond represent the Elite and CCW and GT Ministries?
Well, to be honest, right, boys, I know Walker's watching, so I'm proud of them. I was proud as punch. And they haven't been a tight-knit tag team for a long time. But that night, they worked brilliant together. They were putting moves together as a team. They're slowly adapting to becoming a great tag team. And that's why we are happy that they're Elite. we're over the moon that Tommy took him under his wing because he is listening and learning. Unfortunately, yes, they didn't come away with the win. Everybody saw what happened. They got low blowed. Look, a win's a win. We'd have done the same. So, boys, you've done as good. You've done as proud. You've done Elite proud. You've done CCW proud. Next time, though, I'm sure the win will come your way.
Oh, no question about it. And I think considering what they were able to do in short notice in a short amount of time in a company that they hadn't been in, I think that it was certainly something that I think we'll see more in the future from the likes of the Elite and other places like GT Ministries. And I want to shout out GT Ministries as always, because we will be speaking a lot more GT Ministries tomorrow night, as I mentioned, with Killjoy and Young Horus. And they were a part of things, well, especially Young Horus. And Killjoy is making himself a part of things right now because he has been going, for whatever reason, back and forth with Gareth Angel, certainly the man behind GT Ministries. So certainly we'll see what Killjoy else he has to say. And let's also go back to some more comments. And that is from Mr. Graham Guest. Walker, Genius, Tommy got Lamp. Ronnie got Hardcore Belt. Elite looking good. Just a thought. That's a good point. I mean, listen, Walker, listen, that's an excellent point, because let's take a step back for a second. And I know we spoke about Top Tier and their dominance, but Top Tier now, they're not as dominant anymore. There's no question that they very well have a tenuous position at best on the tag belts. Chris Onyx is no longer the Underground World Champion. That would be Jack Bartley. But let's say hypothetically, I mean, Tommy's got that Lamp, right? You could have that Hardcore belt. Walker could have the Genius. I mean, there is a possibility right now that the premier group in all of CCW, after we've seen now a little bit of a fall and a step back from Top Tier, that it's the Elite. I mean, would you agree that the Elite now could be the forerunning group now in the CCW?
We're always the forthcoming group. We are the top group. Yeah, we've had a little bit of a dip, but we work our differences out. We come back on top. But what people don't realise, right, Tommy does have that Lamp. Now, I'm not too sure. So whether somebody who can comment on this, if they know that Lamp, is it just for the CCW title? Or could he go for any title, i.e. when DB's just ready, what about the tag belts for him and Walker? Has anybody thought of that? DB's still got that concussion. We don't know when he's going to come back, but soon as he comes back, yes, he told me he's going to be a different animal. He had a go at me. I've seen the fire in his eyes. But I've seen the fire in his eyes when he thought he was going to lose the belt if his brother was in the ring with me. Now, what's going to happen if they do have a match, win that match, Tommy cashes in that Lamp? It can happen any time. Is it for any belt? Can somebody answer that? Because if it is, then tag team champs, watch your backs.
I think their backs are going to have to be watched regardless, because obviously, listen, I think right now there's no question that the CCW landscape has changed just by the fact that there's a new champion right now, and that's Jack Bartley. And obviously the possibility that Graham brings up that you guys could have really a number of the big things, the top things that people may want in CCW. And Elite will always be top. Well, I'll tell you what, right now, the Elite are definitely up there. And the champion reminds us that Jack has the Underground Championship. Chief Child has the Pit Bro Women's Championship as well. So those are points.
Sorry about this, Reverend Tom. Can I just jump in there? Sorry about this.
Absolutely. You can feel free to say anything you want.
I'm saying sorry because I respect you, because top guy, you. Right, Jack, you're saying that Chief Child has the Pit Bro Women's Championship, right? One, nothing against you. I love you to pieces. Congratulations on being the champ. But she is that, what you call it, a child. holding a women's championship, right? What if another woman comes in to CCW and wants that belt? What's going to happen then? You've got to think of these, mate. I told you, anybody who has a belt has a target on their back. You're saying the chief child, your child, who's just turned 6, as a women's championship. Come on, bro. Think about it. What's going to happen?
Interesting. And I guess then, would Chief Child be the youngest champion in all of wrestling at the moment? Would that be fair to say almost?
In some way, yes, she is. If they're calling her the women's champion, I don't know where it came from.
Well, that's why when I read the comment off, obviously, yes, Jack is our world champion, but Chief Child as the Pit Pro Women's Championship belt. I mean, I'm kind of reading it off and like moving along from it. That's kind of the point. That's kind of the point. And Uncle Ralph is back. He says any title. And any belt. And we have here Mr. Barley. As far as I know, it's any belt. So we're getting as I think everybody just commented, just like all of a sudden, boom, 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 and I want that belt. Yeah, well, I think anybody wants any belt at this point, right? So I mean, let me get to the man. Sorry to cut you off. Let me get to the man that is the man behind CCW. Certainly, that is Mr. James Barris. So Mr. Barris has something to say to you, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you what Mr. Barris has to say, because he could say no more CCW shows on Sportswire Radio. So I have to bring up the comment. So Mr. Barris says, Ronnie, we may be in different factions, but do me one favor, will you? Smash that James Hughes from pillow to post. Teach that big mouth a lesson in respect.
Now, this is where I get upset. Carnage, my brother, snapped his arm twice. Nobody knows who this James Hughes is. He all of a sudden wants to be in hardcore and all that. Last time I had done an interview with him, he was on a bloody bus.
How's that possible?
Yeah, he was finishing work. He was supposed to come. Now, when you're on a bus in England, you get called a bus. There you go.
I got it. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
I told you I was going to try and be good.
I appreciate that. Listen, I always tell the story. I had Rick Marcus on the show, the Cumbrian Outlaw, and he's talking about something, and he starts doing the F-bombs, and he didn't realize, and he goes, oops, and they did it the second time. And I'm like, well, one more time you do it, and I'm just going to say, but go ahead, the gentleman talking like that.
So I called him that, and he's been a thorn in the elite side. He's now starting on Barris. Now, is Barris putting him in with me because he wants me to prove a point, show him up, do whatever? Husey, bring anything and everything. I told you, I've been put in this tournament now. It never got taken away from me because me and Slagger didn't do the match. So, everybody who was in that tournament, and unfortunately for you, you have me first. Whether it's the first match, I don't know. I don't know when the match is going to do. It's a tournament. We'll see what numbers come up. But it looks like I've got Husey. And sorry, but I'm going to do what Carnage done. And that's rip your arm off. There you go. He's broke it. I'm going to rip it off. You're in my way of that title. And unfortunate for you, I'm going to do what I've got to do.
All right. And that is words here. And let's come back because I got a bunch of comments in here now. All of a sudden, the floodgates have opened. And Dustin Hart says, I thought James Hughes learned his lesson last time. Guess not more. Fool him. Also,
Yeah.
he chimes in here, and I got a bunch of comments, so let me try to read Dustin's first, and I'll go with Barris, then the champ. Well, after facing Ronnie, he won't be saying much more, which I probably would agree. Mr. Barris says his arm is healed, but mouth's still running. That reminds me, I had an uncle, apparently I used to hear a story about, that all the guy would do is just run his mouth, run his mouth. And in fact, apparently one time I heard a story that he ran his mouth so much that I guess one day he was in a yard or like a schoolyard or something. He got beat up so bad that basically like his mouth was almost like shut. So I mean that's kind of that could be James Hughes coming up here. Stay tuned.
There you go.
But I try to at least bring it back to a little bit of levity. But Mr. Barrett says, but before that, James Hughes teach that Nate Sawyer a harsh lesson as he put his hands on my champ Slugger. He took him out of the match last Friday. And certainly, I'm sure you agree with that because, like I said, you wanted Slugger and I wanted to see it. I think a lot of people paid a lot of money to see you and Slugger go at it. But let me get to the champ here, Mr. Bartley. Chief Child is a two-time champion, so I guess the youngest two-time champion of any sort in history. She handed it back last time to allow it to be contested. Miss Jinx is the new GM of the women's division. I won't put my child in danger. You're right. She's too young to fight. Only thing he'll be saying is ouch when it comes to James Hughes. So I guess Mr. Hughes is in deep doo-doo then, huh?
Oh, yes, he is. And just going back to Jack Bartley.
Sure, absolutely.
Well done. It was just a thought. Obviously, my daughter's a lot older. I don't know what's going on with her. Your daughter's young. You're going to look after her. So brilliant. And now, sorry, I missed it where Miss Jinx is now the GM of the women's. Right. Congratulations, Miss Jinx. It does look like Chuckle Crew are taking over. Congratulations on you lot.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, here we are certainly learning things by the second on Sportswire Radio, as we've got another about 10 or 15 minutes here with the gentleman thug, Ronnie Thatcher. And certainly we are learning a lot. We are learning a lot before August the 27th, Genius of the Ring here, the big event here from CCW. And CCW is going to be very, very busy these days because we've got August the 27th, we've got September the 10th, we've got a lot going on here. So CCW, if you're a fan of it, you're in luck because you have some big shows coming up, and I'm sure we're going to have sellouts number 11 and 12 coming up here if we haven't had them already. And for more information on CCW, I would highly encourage, if you have not already here, go please to the CCW page on Facebook at Colory Championship Wrestling. And we are here with the gentleman thug, Ronnie Thatcher. But I have a comment here. Let me get to this comment, and I think you might want to see it. All right. He says, yo, Mr. Bryce, tell Ronnie that Hammerhead Smith kicked his fill-in-the-blanks from pillar to post multiple times. And if you did win that belt, and that's if Thatcher, I wouldn't even need an invitation. I would just show up, and with the snap of my fingers, I would take it from you. I think you know who this person is. Would you like to respond to this person?
You're nothing but a mag. You didn't beat me pillar to post at all. I whooped your backside in a last man standing match where I even knocked you out with your own hammer, didn't I? And the second time, you took a leaf out of my book, tied my hands up on the post. Now, you say that you've beaten me pillar to post. You've done nothing like that. All you do is run your mouth every single time you can. And there you go. You won the title once, and what did you do? Leave. Didn't even defend it like a true champion. So there you go. Didn't whoop me pillar to post. And I tell you what, if I did have that belt, Barry says he wants the match, I'll do it again. No problem. I don't back down from no one.
So you're not backing down here, just to make sure. You're not backing down?
No chance.
Okay. All right, so let me come back here to Mr. Barris because Mr. Barris has chimed in and he says, I need a word with McGregor. Your boy Baldwin attacked my champion after he got attacked by the modern day morons. He needs to be dealt with, Ronnie. Yeah, I know who the modern day morons are. I think I very well know who the modern day morons are. And certainly there are many that might agree with that. So I guess that's his point there that he's chimed in here with. So I'm sure that Mr. Barris will have a few more things to say with that. So, I mean, I guess then we know where we're going here toward August the 27th. So I think that we've
Yeah.
kind of made some of that here claim. I mean, is there anything else that you might like to get off your chest, the gentleman thug Ronnie Thatcher, that those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio would like to know?
Well, here's one for you. Earlier on, Rev Tom Bryce said about all the shows. My show straight after hit this. Carnage Wednesday. Uncensored. Stay
And
tuned.
what time? And we will be on. I'm assuming within the next 10 or 15 minutes.
Straight after this, I'm going to go
right,
over to the CCW page and go on there because usually it's 9 p.m. UK time.
All right, I realize that. I realize that, and that's why I want to be respectful of your time. So, as
don't
we're
worry
gonna go,
about that.
okay,
You've got an interview, so let's go. We go.
All right. Well,
I
appreciate that. Because I know when I do it with Slugger, sometimes Slugger's like, "Well, I've got to go." So I mean, I realize with some people,
they can wait. They can wait.
Okay. All right.
At the end of the day, you've done the common decency of doing this interview with me, so I can do the common decency. Stay on until you.
All right. So I wasn't going to stay much longer, but I did want to ask you though. I did want to for the first time. I actually almost chuckled on my choke. So, but yeah. Well, it's one of those nights. But I did want to ask you then, in terms of what are your goals then in CCW going forward?
My goals: get the Carnage Hardcore title, make Elite great, and then go for every other belt I can get my hands on. Show everybody who the true thug of CCW is. And that's the gentleman thug, Ronnie Thatcher. And you all know what that is. Well, it's a thug thing.
I wouldn't disagree with that by any long shot, by any stretch of the imagination as well. So I wanted to ask you before I get to closing thoughts, and what does it mean to you to be a part of the Elite?
It means the world. Now, soon I got a call saying they were doing interviews. Bang, I was straight on it. The interview straight away, Mr. McGregor said, right at the end, you've got the job. Bang, I was out, taking care of business, like I promised. Then I become the first ever CCW Underground Heavyweight Champion. Took it back to the Elite, where back then there was Mr. McGregor, who's still obviously with us. Baldwin, who's now went bonkers. He's, I don't know what, but then we had Sean, God rest his soul, and Elf. There was us in the ring, showing what I'd done. And that moment meant the world to me, September 11th. It meant the world. So, being part of the Elite, we're a family. We're a tight-knit family. Yeah, we have squabbles. We have little arguments, but we deal with it like adults. If we don't sit down and have a pint, we sit down and have a fight. Well, not sit down, but we have a fight. Get on with it. That's what I would do anyway. Tell him straight. But Mr. McGregor, what a lot of people won't realise is how much he takes on the role of the Don. And he's not just there to guide me to wins or for the future. He's been in there when, and I'm not ashamed to say it because it is good to get off just. I've been in them dark places with depression. And he saved my life. He did. So I owe my life to that man. And some others in CCW, and they know who they are. So being part of the elite, it's more than anything, it's family.
And I think that the rest of the group would feel the same. And I think that in a larger stream of things, that CCW is like a family. But I have some more comments. Let me get to them here. That was a magical moment to witness. Meant the world to me when you beat Brian Stone. And I think you may know who this individual is. He says, Thatcher, you say I never took you from pillar to post, but the thing of it is, son, I wiped you out with ease, then followed along with the oh-so-precious Dustin Hart. I dethroned him in front of those lovable, lovable, more like pigs, cough, cough. Would you like to respond? Because obviously this is getting interesting here.
Obviously, I hit you in the head too hard, didn't I? Thinking you threw me pillar to post. I smiled when you brought more weapons into the ring. I laughed in your face. So, Hammerhead, you keep going on that you're this big man. You're nothing. Right? The second time, you got the better of Dustin. You handcuffed me. Good on you. But I was still standing at the end of it. Even when top tier tried wiping me out. Me and Dustin right at the end, which we never thought would have happened. We stood side by side. We were standing. So you didn't whoop nobody. You got lucky. End of. You keep shooting your mouth off. You know where I am. I'm not hard to find. Come at me.
And I'll tell you what. Hammerhead Smith is a big man. Obviously, we've seen him in other wrestling companies here. I almost have to throw it out there. If Mr. Smith would like to talk anytime and share his thoughts on Mr. Thatcher, I might as well have to do the honors and extend an invite to him, because something tells me here that Mr. Smith may have some scores he'd like to settle and thoughts that he might like to further get off his chest. And certainly here on Sportswire Radio, we always extend open invitations to those that may want that. So that's something that I may want to extend here in the near and distant future to him. And we'll certainly stay tuned for that. But I know we have a big show coming up here, so I want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything you want to plug, share, anything you want to plug in terms of what we're going to expect on the new show coming up here shortly. So I can't thank you enough for this opportunity. I cannot thank you enough for talking about all of your experiences in CCW, the Elite, and much, much more. And I look forward to more of these in the future with you. So the floor is yours, and fire away, the gentleman thug, Ronnie Thatcher.
Thank you, Rev Tom Bryce. Much appreciated. Now, yes, we've got the Genius of the Ring coming up. I've already put myself on the sideline for that. I'm going to watch. And we know it's going to come home. It better. Use a watching, lads. Just listen to Mr. McGregor. He'll get you right. Now, September 10th. Carnage Hardcore title on the line in the PSAT tournament. Whoever's in my way, better watch out. Because I'm not slowing down. I'm going to hit everybody like a tank. Because you're getting in my way of what I want. And that is the Carnage Hardcore title. So you all better be ready for me, the Gentleman Thug. And I'm not taking anybody lightly. And obviously, sorry, Tom, after the show, Carnage Wednesday, keep watching. Go over to the CCW page. That's where we do all of our lives through the week. Good to see you there. And if a guest wants to come on, more than welcome.
Could be an excellent segue there. Could be somebody here on a stream tonight and might want to speak with the gentleman thug, Ronnie Thatcher, and certainly air out some grievances. And Mr. Barris says, Ronnie, you make James Hughes scream like a baby. That almost reminds me of There's a Godsmack song that famously says crying like a fill in the blanks. And it was actually about bass player of Motley Crue, Nikki Sixx. So it could be something along the lines of that with the Gentleman Thug, Ronnie Thatcher. But let me come back to Hammerhead Smith before we sign off here and go to the Gentleman's Show on the CCW Facebook page. Listen, with the snap of my fingers, I could wipe out the CWO within 5 minutes and then wipe out the Elite. And here's some closing thoughts on this, Bartley. Make the most of the limelight of the heavyweight title, as Onyx obviously wasn't a Hammerhead Smith. Shane, that as you know, if I was still there, you wouldn't have it. And that's my friends. This is the truth, and it hurts. So I think that we're going to be seeing Mr. Smith here a lot more in the CCW. And I think that the Gentleman Thug, Ronnie Thatcher, is going to have something to say about that. That's what it seems like here tonight. I think we learned something, that we're seeing some battle lines being drawn tonight. We're seeing now could be a new scenario, a new battle coming, because it looks like Hammerhead Smith, he has some scores to settle, and the Gentleman Thug, Ronnie Thatcher, has something to say about it. And I think this are reasons why you need to be following CCW on Facebook, Colory Championship Wrestling, as we get ready for Sellout number 11th. And have tickets going on sale yet? Correct me if I'm wrong. Have tickets going on sale yet? Or are we still waiting for an announcement on that?
We are waiting on an announcement because I think the tickets are on the way or something. We've had a bit of a deadline on that. But get in touch with Barris, because he's been getting loads of messages, and before we've even got the tickets, we're nearly close to a sellout. There you go.
3 hours and 34 minutes was the last show that sold out in. And that's hard to do. Listen, I mean, so the fact that we're this close and we're getting ready messages. I mean, I get messages from wrestlers all the time talking about how much they love CCW and how much they want to see CCW and they want to see action. So just wait. So hang on a little more, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get those tickets. We're going to get them available. We're going to promote that all here on Sportswire Radio. So, my friend, I know you're a busy man. Go get ready for the show. I cannot thank you enough for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to more with you and more Elite news, CCW news. We will have the champion on next week, Jack Bartley. We will get his side of the story on things. So I'm sure we'll have a lot more with that, plus much, much more. So, my friend, I can't thank you enough. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with you and the Elite. And we'll speak soon, and have a great show.
Thank you very much, Rev. Much appreciated. Been a fantastic host.
I appreciate that very much. And Commissioner Baldwin says, James Barris, shut up and focus on your spacey rent boy. Well, okay. Well, that'll be certainly something that I'm sure we'll talk about here in the near and distant future. But if you're on Sportswire Radio, I would highly encourage on Facebook, go to the CCW page any minute now, and the Gentleman Thug, Ronnie Thatcher show will be on the way. And if you're on sportnarium.com/player, you'll get some more content here shortly. I have to reset the dials, and we'll be back later on, 9 o'clock Eastern time, with a live show with New York punk band Panzer. So if you like rock and roll and punk music, may not quite be the Clash of the Sex Pistols, but we'll find out and see what those guys have in store. But thank you, everybody. I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. And thank you again also to Ronnie Thatcher, the Gentleman Thug of the Elite.